In Singapore in 2018, a 17-year-old domestic servant from Myanmar brutally stabbed her employer's 70-year-old mother-in-law 26 times, leaving her dead on the sofa. Everyone was shocked and wondered what drove this young girl to commit such a heinous act. The crime was shocking, and people began to wonder what ran through her mind as she carried out this horrific crime. Hello everyone, and welcome to this channel. Today, we are going to talk about the Zin Mar Nwe case, a brutal murder that took place in Singapore in 2018. Before we continue, kindly like this video and subscribe to the channel. Zin Mar Nwe was born and brought up in Myanmar, a country that has been plagued by poverty, civil war, and human rights violations for decades. Like many other young women from her country, she dreamt of finding a better life abroad and decided to become a domestic servant in Singapore. Zin Mar Nwe believed that her dreams could reach the wealthy nation of Singapore. Zin Mar Nwe, however, was unaware that to work as a maid in Singapore, she had to meet specific criteria, such as being at least 23 years old, having a minimum of 8 years of formal education, and passing a medical examination. Unfortunately, Zin Mar Nwe did not meet these requirements as she was only 17 years old and had dropped out of school after grade 6. Zin Mar Nwe also had a history of mental health issues, but she was desperate to escape her harsh reality and agreed to lie about her age and qualifications with the help of her agent, who forged her passport and documents. Zin Mar Nwe arrived in Singapore on January 5, 2018, and began working for two families, one after the other, between January and May. She encountered no significant problems with her first two employers. At this time, her monthly income was $450. Zin Mar Nwe had to use a portion of her monthly income to repay her loan to her agency. On the 10th of May 2018, Zin Mar got a third employer, an Indian-born financial controller who lived in a flat in Choa Chu Kang, a residential area west of Singapore. Zin Mar's employer lived with his wife and two teenage daughters and seemed to treat Zin Mar Nwe fairly and kindly. However, things changed when his 70-year-old mother-in-law arrived from India on May 26, 2018, and planned to stay with the family for a month. The 70-year-old mother-in-law, who was also an Indian national, did not get along with Zin Mar Nwe and allegedly abused her verbally and physically on several occasions. She would hit her with her bare hands or other objects, scold her for not performing well or not understanding her instructions, and threatened to send her back to her agent. Zin Mar felt humiliated, angry, depressed, and homesick. With the constant verbal abuse and maltreatment from her employer's mother-in-law, Zin Mar wanted to return to Myanmar. She tried to contact her agent several times but could not reach him. She also did not have her passport, as her employer kept it. She felt trapped and hopeless and harbored resentment towards her employer's mother-in-law, whom she blamed for her misery. On the day of the murder, the 70-year-old mother-in-law asked Zin Mar Nwe to do some chores, such as covering the table with a plastic sheet and moving the sofa. Zin Mar complied but felt angry and frustrated. She decided to kill the victim and run away to put an end to her frustration. Zin Mar took a knife from the kitchen and stabbed her employer's mother-in-law repeatedly as she was lying on the sofa watching TV. Zin Mar stabbed her up to 26 times out of rage and anger. After committing the murder, Zin Mar Nwe then ransacked the bedroom, took her belongings and some money, and left the flat. The surveillance cameras captured her walking to her agent's office, where she asked for her passport, but her agent did not heed to her plea. She then wandered around the city until the police arrested her that night. Zin Mar Nwe faced a murder charge, which carries the mandatory death penalty in Singapore. Knowing this, Zin Mar Nwe claimed that she was suffering from diminished responsibility at the time of the killing due to her mental condition and the abuse she endured. She also argued that she was only 17 years old and, therefore, should not get the death penalty, as per international law. The prosecution disputed her claims and presented evidence that she had planned and executed the murder with full awareness and intention. They also pointed out that she lied about her age and qualifications and that her bone age test was inconclusive. The trial of Zin Mar Nwe was a complex and lengthy process that involved several issues, such as her age, her mental state, her motive, and the evidence against her. The prosecution argued that Zin Mar Nwe had planned and executed the murder with full awareness and intention, and that she had shown no remorse or empathy for the victim. They presented evidence such as the surveillance footage, the autopsy report, the knife, and Zin Mar Nwe's confession to the police. They also disputed her claim of diminished responsibility and said that she had lied about her age and qualifications to work as a maid in Singapore. They sought the death penalty for Zin Mar Nwe, as they believed that she had committed a cruel and brutal crime that deserved the highest punishment. The defense argued that Zin Mar Nwe was suffering from diminished responsibility at the time of the killing due to her mental condition and the abuse she endured from the victim. They presented evidence such as the bone age test, the psychiatric reports, and the testimonies of Zin Mar Nwe's family and friends. They also argued that Zin Mar Nwe was only 17 years old when she committed the crime and that she should not get the death penalty, as per the law in Singapore. They sought a lesser sentence for Zin Mar Nwe, such as life imprisonment or a term of years, as they believed she still had a chance for rehabilitation and reform. On May 18, 2023, after an 11-day trial that dragged on for more than a year, Justice Andre Maniam, the trial judge presiding over Zin Mar Nwe's case, delivered the verdict. In his judgment, Justice Maniam stated that he rejected Zin Mar Nwe's defense of diminished responsibility and that he found her guilty of murder under Section 300 of the Penal Code, which states that a person murders if they intentionally cause the death of another person using an act which causes bodily injury sufficient in the ordinary course of nature to cause death. He ruled that Zin Mar Nwe had acted with cruelty and brutality, and that no evidence of provocation or duress could reduce her culpability. However, he also considered her age, background, and circumstances and decided to spare her from the death penalty. He sentenced her to life imprisonment on July 4, 2023, saying that she still had a chance of rehabilitation and reform. He also ordered that she receive psychiatric treatment while in prison. Zin Mar Nwe broke down in tears upon hearing the sentence and expressed remorse for her actions. She did not appeal against the conviction or the sentence. After Zin Mar Nwe's arrest, her family members and friends gave testimonies about her. They described her as a kind, obedient, and hardworking girl who wanted to help her family financially by working as a maid in Singapore. They said Zin Mar Nwe had dropped out of school after grade 6 and had a history of mental health issues such as depression and anxiety. She also suffered from nightmares and hallucinations and had attempted suicide twice before coming to Singapore. Her family members apologized to Zin Mar Nwe's employer for the brutal murder their daughter committed. Zin Mar Nwe's case is a tragic story of a young maid who came to Singapore to have a good life, only to become a cold-blooded killer due to rage and desperation. What are your thoughts on this case? Do you think Zin Mar Nwe deserved the death penalty or life imprisonment? Do you believe the victim or employer was responsible for the outcome? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true crime stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.